Hello everyone friends! Today we want to talk about the most popular camper in our lineup,
One DC ORMO.
Why is it most popular? It fits common pickup trucks. Models like Amarok, Navara, L200, Hilux, and many others. A year ago, we already did a review of this camper. Today, we want to tell you about it in even more detail. We'll look into every compartment, every box, and explain how everything's arranged inside and out. But if you still have questions, write them in the comments, we'll definitely answer them. Alright, let's get started. Let's begin with the left side. Here we have the green filler cap. This is where water goes into the main tank. I'll tell you more about it when we're inside. This element is a screen that can be used both for taking a shower and here as well. You also have the option to set up a portable shower and a chemical toilet. Now I'll show you how it opens. There are two locks here. You unzip the zippers and here are Velcro fasteners. So it falls down quite quickly, it's all easy. And this is how it unfolds. On this side there's a zipper be unzipping it. You can go inside. That's it. I'm inside, no one can see me, so I can take a shower here or do other things. It's quite easy and simple. You can also adjust the height, meaning you can lower it, for example, or if you want to set it higher, say, on a different car or camper. This is a universal accessory. It's not just for campers. You can install it on any car, on any motorhome. Here at the bottom, we have these anchors that pull the screen down to the ground. But there are also stakes included in the set. You can use them to secure the awning to the ground. This way, you can completely prevent even the slightest movement during windy conditions. Now let's fold it up. I'll show you how it's done. It's quite simple. Everything is done in reverse order. This is how we fold it up. We carefully and smoothly roll up the entire fabric awning itself, ensuring it forms a neat and compact shape, and then securely fasten it in place with the strong, reliable Velcro straps, preventing any accidental unfurling. There, that's it. It's put away. Zip it up. It's generally best to fully zip it up toward the very back of the item so that it is securely closed and positioned correctly. When you're driving on the road and it's raining or windy, water definitely won't get in through the zipper pulls. Fasten the buckle, and that's it. The shower is put away quite easily. And just a quick question. Where does the water come from when we take a shower? We have two options. The first is to take the shower head out from inside. We have it in there. I'll show you that when we're inside. And accordingly, there's also the option to install a hatch here with an external mixer. So here you'll have your own shower head and your own mixer. This means you can use it without taking the shower head out from inside. So these are the two main options. There are other possibilities as well, but those are all customized. Now let's take a look at the rear compartment. Here we have two drawers. These drawers, the upper and lower ones on this side, are included in the set. So this is the basic, so to speak, configuration. At the same time, you can order two more drawers for yourself, right on this side. So in this way, you'll have 4 drawers. However, some people choose not to have drawers and instead place, for example, jerry cans, shovels, or other equipment on this side. So basically, it's all up to individual preference. We can design and arrange the rear compartment as you wish. Just let us know your preferences, right? Let's take a look inside. The drawer is empty, but there's a special strap here that allows you to secure the equipment you put inside. Most often, people store camping furniture here, things you'll need outdoors, like tables and chairs. You can place them here and secure them with this strap. It's important to note that these compartments are completely sealed. They don't let in water or dust. There's a very reliable seal here and strong locks that press the door tightly against the seal, which prevents any moisture or dust from getting inside. The locks also have a cylinder, so you can lock them. That means you can put your belongings inside, lock them up, and not worry about their safety. In the lower compartment here, we have canisters for the heater. That is, there's a heater inside, and I'll talk about it when we're inside. Here are the canisters, so you pour fuel in here, and you have it ready. This way you have the ability to use the heater inside. This compartment also has a strap. It's for securing your gear. It works on the same principle, meaning there's a tightening mechanism there as well. I won't open it up right now, but take my word for it. There's a way to secure the gear inside. And here it's even more important, because this compartment is at a slight angle, so accordingly you definitely need to secure things here. A few words about the lighting. We have one light fixture on the rear side, and the second one is located where the awning is, under the awning. And the light fixtures are actually an optional feature. We include two fixtures as standard on the rear side and one on the side, but we can add more if needed. For example, we can install two fixtures on the rear side. Basically, everything is customized for the client. But in general, our standard package includes two light fixtures, one at the back and one on the side, on the awning side. Moreover, if, for example, you order a second box in this spot, then we will position the light fixtures accordingly. That is, they will be placed right above the box itself. You can also see the awning here. We won't go into detail about it right now. We'll cover it in a separate video where we'll talk about it in full detail. For now, let's go into the camper and see what's inside. Well then, now for the most interesting part. Let's go inside. But before we go in, I want to tell you about the door. It's quite unique here. In all our campers, the door is two-sectioned. The upper panel lifts up, while the lower one locks with bolts and folds down. And the steps, you could say, also fold down. In other words, they're collapsible and foldable. This is done so that when the door is closed, the steps themselves don't get in the way inside, don't interfere, for example, with opening drawers or anything like that. And basically, so they don't take up space. So they're foldable. Here, they fold down. Here, they unfold. There are two steps here. The height is quite convenient. Well, again, it depends on the vehicle because each one has a different suspension and the height varies too. So overall, give or take, it's pretty easy to get in. Even for a child, for example, it's about half a meter from the ground here. Now I'll go inside, open up the roof, and then we'll go in to take a look. By the way, about the roof, before I push it up, we need to unlock the latches. There's one here on the left and another on the right. We've opened them. It's done very quickly. Now we go inside and push up the roof, and that's it. The house is ready to live in. So as you could see for yourself, it takes about 10 seconds and you can already start using the camper. Let's go inside. So we're inside the camper. Now we'll go over each functional area separately. We'll start with the kitchen, then move to the dining area, and then the sleeping spaces. Of course, we'll also cover the electrical system, water supply, heating, and many other details. I'll explain everything thoroughly so you won't have questions. But if you do, feel free to ask in the comments. Alright, let's start. In this particular camper, the simplest kitchen unit is installed. This is exactly what all customers get in the base configuration. What does it consist of? It's a cabinet measuring 120 centimeters by 55 centimeters. So it's a fairly large work surface where you can comfortably settle in and prepare various dishes. You can place a portable gas stove here. A lot of people ask, why don't you have a stove? I mean a built-in gas stove. That's possible, it's an optional feature. There are various additional fittings you can choose from to suit your preferences. So for example, some people they ask to have a gas stove installed, and it can either be combined with the sink or be a separate gas stove. It can also vary in size. But all of this is individual, because overall we've found that many people are now moving away from gas. They're switching to alternative cooking options like multi-cookers, for example. and even those who do choose gas often prefer a portable gas stove that can be moved from place to place. For example, you can set it up here to cook something, or you can put it on the dining table while something is boiling over there. You can be preparing food here, for instance. Also, for example, if you have a portable gas stove, you can take it outside and cook there. So it's a more versatile solution. And that's why, by default, we don't include any stove. But it's possible. If you want a stove, if you say you love to cook and fry, we can offer you different options. There are models that come with a lid. So when you're not using the sink or the stove, you can close them and use that space as an extension of your countertop. In general, there are different options. We can select something that fits your needs. Now, a few words about the faucet. This is not your typical faucet. When we were standing outside looking at the shower screen, I told you that one of the options for taking a shower is to pull out the shower head from inside. So how does that work? This is how you pull out the shower head. This spout has two modes. There's the regular mode, where the water just flows in a stream, and there's a shower mode. So by pulling it outside, you can take a shower outdoors. After you finish showering, you can put it back in place like this, and it becomes a regular kitchen faucet again. Now, a few words about the window. The window is an optional feature. It's not included in the basic configuration, but if you want it, we can install it for you. It's not a problem. Our windows are specially designed for motorhomes and have several features. There's a sunshade and a mosquito net. It also has a ventilation mode, meaning you can... Why does it have stoppers? So right now I've set it to ventilation mode, that is, a small gap left open. You can leave it like this, for example, overnight or even while driving. Yes, even so that air can flow through the camper. There's also a hatch here. Basically, this is our air intake, and over there is the air outlet. Plus, we also have supply ventilation. I'll talk about that a bit later. So as for the window, it can be fully opened, yes, like this. The outer part lifts up and you get a large flow of air. You can also close it completely, pull down the curtain, and that way no one can see you from outside. That's it. On this side, yes, in every camper we install this kind of textile organizer. That's it. It's quite a convenient thing, meaning it can be used for various kitchen items, like spices or dishwashing supplies, for example. That's it. You can also keep some hygiene items here, like toothpaste, toothbrushes, and so on. Overall, it's a handy item. Many of our clients rate this accessory very highly. Now, let's take a look inside the kitchen unit. Here we have 3 pull-out drawers and 2 doors, meaning 2 cabinets. There's also a control panel for the electrical appliances, which I'll talk about separately. Let's start with the drawers. First of all, regarding the drawers and the locks, probably the very first thing to mention is the locks. Ours are quite sturdy. This completely prevents any drawer from opening while you're on the move. So for example, if you're driving off-road where there's a lot of rocking and shaking, you don't have to worry about the drawers flying open. Sometimes similar vehicles use those round locks that open at the slightest jolt. That's not the case here. These are very strong locks. They snap securely into place. The latch here is reliable, so you don't have to worry about anything coming open, or about the content spilling out and ending up somewhere inside the camper. So you really don't need to worry about that. I'd also like to point out that our drawers open to 100% of their internal volume. So right now the drawer is pulled out. I can see the back wall, which means the entire internal space of the drawer is accessible to me. That's quite an important point I'd like to highlight. As for this particular drawer, it's the shallowest in depth, but still quite large in overall dimensions. It's a big drawer. Usually our clients use this space to transport some cutlery, small cooking gadgets, and small food items, for example. Basically, everyone uses their kitchen as they see fit, and we don't really make any recommendations here. We don't give any specific or strict recommendations on where to store what. It's entirely up to the clients. The next drawer is the same width as the top one, but it's deeper. So here you can fit things like pots, pans, tall dishes, or maybe some mugs. In general, our clients usually don't have any trouble finding space for their dishes. There's also another drawer here. It's also deep, just like the neighboring one, but a bit smaller in size. So basically you can also store something in it. Now let's take a look at what's in the lower cabinets. The lower cabinet on the right looks like this. Most often our clients use this shelf to transport a portable stove. So it's stored here, then taken out, placed here, and you can cook something on it right here and then put it back afterwards. Underneath it, there's a large space which is used, for example, for transporting a multi-cooker. As I mentioned, that's the trend now. Many of our clients use a multi-cooker, and that's usually where they keep it, right here. But at the same time, it's up to you. You can use this cabinet however you like. Moreover, the shelf can be moved, so you can lower it and create two spaces of equal height. So here we can customize everything for the client. Now the next drawer, which is on our left side, looks like this. Here we have just a large space. And why is it so spacious without a shelf? Because these drawers are usually used to install a gas cylinder. So when a built-in gas stove is installed on the countertop, it is powered by a cylinder that is placed in this drawer. Those who don't use gas and, for example, cook with small butane canisters on portable stoves, don't need the gas cylinder here. As one of the options, we suggest placing a water canister here. For example, a 15-liter water canister fits perfectly here. A separate pump is installed for it, and a dedicated faucet for drinking water is brought out onto the countertop. Just like at home, right? Often a water filtration system with a separate tap is installed at home. And we offer the same solution, only assembled from a canister, a pump, and a faucet. So you'll have a separate tap for drinking water. That's it. And if you don't want to use either water or gas in this spot, or store them here, you can use this compartment however you like. Well, we've taken a look at the kitchen unit. Now let's move to the opposite side. Here we have a niche for a portable chemical toilet. Let's take a look inside and see what's there. And two shelves for shoes, that is. Usually clients store their shoes here. And there are straps so you can secure them and nothing will fall out. But if, for example, you don't want to store shoes here, you can use them for anything you like. Let's take a look inside the niche for the portable chemical toilet. Here we have this kind of textile pocket, because any portable chemical toilet is quite deep and it simply won't fit in here as is. That's why we make these kinds of extenders. So to speak, it's a pocket. This pocket tucks inside when you need to remove the module from the body, and it turns outward when you place the portable chemical toilet here. Accordingly, this pocket, just like the tent, is made from two layers of Oxford fabric, which is wind and water resistant, and inside there is a layer of Synthepon insulation. So you don't have to worry it doesn't let in cold or moisture. Right here is where your portable chemical toilet is located. In fact, on top, in the basic configuration, there's an extension of the sofa. Yes, so here we have the seat, which belongs to the dining area, and here is its extension. If you want to put a refrigerator here, which is possible, this spot is designed for installing a fridge, and there's already an outlet provided for it. So here you have an extra 220 volt LED, as well as a pocket for small items. For example, our clients usually put flashlights here or anything else you might need quick access to. Accordingly, if you install a refrigerator here, and if you know the model in advance, we can adjust the space to fit the size and volume of your fridge. You can put a small refrigerator here, parallel to this wall, or you can place a larger refrigerator like this. And accordingly, depending on the size of the refrigerator, we can make these cushions at the factory to fit the exact dimensions, that is to match the available space. So for example, you could have a short cushion here with the refrigerator positioned right here, or you could have a longer cushion if the refrigerator isn't very big. In other words, this cushion can be adapted to the size of the refrigerator during the production stage. Well, that's basically everything important on this side. When we move on to the continuation of this wall, right here, every camper in the base configuration comes with two of these textile pockets. They're quite spacious. Most customers use them for toiletries or small items like chargers. You can also store books in them, as long as they're not too bulky. And you can put things here that you need to have quick access to. Take a look at these stylish little features we have. Now we include them on all our products. For example, right here, we have another really cool feature. But that's not the point right now. So we've basically just talked about the area located at the entrance, what's on the right side, and the kitchen unit on the left. Basically, I've already covered everything about that. Well, now it's time to talk about a pleasant spot, the dining area. Here, it consists of a large dining table and two sofas. One of them, right across from me, is a two-seater, so two people can sit there comfortably. And here, I can also move over and have a second person sit next to me. A third person can also fit here. So basically 5 adults can sit here comfortably and with ease. In fact, someone could even climb up here, lie down and just hang out here. So you can seat quite a lot of people around the table, which is definitely a big plus. And accordingly, the dining area can be transformed into additional sleeping spaces. Now I'll show you how it's done. It's done very quickly and easily. You'll see for yourself in a moment. This is what the lower sleeping areas look like when extended. I should mention that they're 170 centimeters long and 120 centimeters wide, and I'm 180 centimeters tall. Honestly, it's comfortable for me, of course. I mean, well, I can't fully stretch out to my entire height without touching the wall a bit, so I do brush against it a little. But overall, it's comfortable even for an adult my height. That's why most of our clients usually put their kids or teenagers here, or sometimes their own children, yes, or teenagers. It's really great here. The parents sleep separately, but it's important to note that this particular camper, the exact model we're in right now, is a special order. It's 20 centimeters lower than the standard version. So here, the ceiling is lowered. As I said, it's just a special order. Usually the ceiling is 20 centimeters higher. So I'm sure you'll ask, how are you supposed to sleep if we unfold the upper sleeping area? Let me pull out the shelf now. So basically we're unfolding the upper sleeping area right now. This is what it looks like when it's set up. And accordingly, if I try to climb up there, it's obvious that it will be uncomfortable for me. I can sleep in this spot, but you can't fit a second person underneath there. So specifically in this camper that we're in right now, that's how it's set up. Usually this shelf is positioned about 20 centimeters higher, but that's not the case here. It's set quite low, and it's much more comfortable to be on the lower level when lying down. So regarding the upper sleeping areas, as you can see, the upper sleeping spot is just huge. Its width right here in this spot is 170 centimeters, and the depth is 2 meters. So basically what we have here is a huge double bed. Also, it's important to note that now we've started using a scissor mechanism for the alcove. With this mechanism, we can raise the roof not just from one side. Yes, like here basically. It lifts up. Previously, it would lift from one side and be fixed on the other, but now, thanks to the scissor mechanisms, the roof lifts from both sides. And accordingly, from the foot of the sleeping area, we add an extra 40 centimeters in height. So overall, the volume of the sleeping space is significantly larger. Now I'll climb up to the upper sleeping area and show you, well, basically how it all looks when someone is up there. So usually our clients lie with their heads toward the exit and their feet that way. So it's roughly like this. Yes, I just laid down here. In fact, you could fit 2 more people here. There's just an unreal amount of space. But overall, for example, a typical married couple can be very comfortable here. Well, I've pretty much covered all the main sleeping areas, but there's an important addition. Right now, the length of the sleeping area is 2 meters, yes, specifically in this camper. And this is basically the standard configuration, yes, so 2 meters in most cases. That's enough for almost everyone. But if you're a tall person, we can make the sleeping area 2.20 meters long. That is, we make the shelf 20 centimeters longer, and the mattress accordingly is also 20 centimeters longer. So for example, a person who is 2 meters tall or even taller can in principle comfortably fit here as well. So in terms of extra space, we have a certain amount of space available to increase the sleeping area. I also want to mention the shelf. I'll show this directly in a moment. When the shelf is folded, by the way, speaking of the shelf, you can see what shape it has. Parts of the material have been specially removed here to make it lighter, so it's actually quite light. And here there are latches, special mechanisms that secure it in the folded position. So basically, if you slide it in, so you folded up the sleeping area and you're worried that, for example, when you off-road or during rocking motion, it might fly out. No, it won't. because it's locked and secured to the walls with the help of those latches. This way you don't have to worry shelf isn't going anywhere. Now I'll unfold the table again, set it up, and I'll show you one very important detail that I really want to draw your attention to. Look, the dining table, when the upper sleeping berth is unfolded, yes, it still remains accessible, so to speak, yes. So, for example, if someone is lying here, resting, or, I don't know, let's say, in a scenario like this, your wife and child have gone to bed, and you need to work for a while on your laptop, or maybe have some coffee, or you got up earlier than everyone else. In this case, part of the table remains accessible to you. So when the upper sleeping berth is unfolded, part of the table still remains accessible to you. And that's a pretty big advantage, because some people think that basically if you set up the sleeping areas, that's it, you can't be here anymore. Everyone just lies down and you can't do anything at all. So in principle, you still have access to the kitchen and part of the table. That's it. But it's important to note that if we make the sleeping area larger, as I mentioned, we can make it deeper, up to 2 meters 20 then. Accordingly, the shelf will be pulled out even further. Roughly speaking, like this. About up to here, yes. So in this case, of course, the table becomes inaccessible, but that's more of an exception. Yes, such long sleeping areas. But just keep in mind that if you order an extended sleeping area, you'll have to sacrifice access to the table. That's basically what I wanted to share. And now we'll move on to the storage compartments. So our dining area consists of sofas, right? Underneath these sofas are what we call storage compartments. Now let's take a look inside the storage compartment, which serves as the power hub of the entire module, meaning all the electrical systems and even the water are located here. And now, well, basically I'll explain everything now. So let's take a look, so to speak, under the hood of the living module. This is the left storage compartment, the heart of the living module. Here you'll find the entire electrical system, part of the water supply, and some heating elements. Now I'll tell you about each of these systems separately. So let's start with the water supply system. To explain this system, I want to draw your attention to this feature, like this podium here. A lot of people ask, what is the step for, why is it needed? Let me explain. Inside this podium is a 100-liter tank. Its location and shape were chosen for a reason. When full, this tank weighs 100 kilograms, and the closer it is to the cab and positioned above the rear axle, the smarter and more optimal it is in terms of weight distribution. So if it were moved closer to the entrance, that is, to the rear overhang of the vehicle, it wouldn't be very good in terms of weight distribution and center of gravity. Accordingly, being here, it doesn't affect the driving characteristics as much. Water enters the tank through this hose. So as I mentioned earlier, outside when we were standing there, there's a filler neck, and basically the water flows through this hose into the tank itself. Next, here we have the pump. This pump transfers water from this main tank, which I've already talked about, to the mixer located in the kitchen area. This way, you can use water in the kitchen, and you'll have cold water specifically. If you want hot water, you can order the installation of a boiler. Here it is, this boiler. It holds 6 liters, it's a storage type electric boiler. This pump also supplies water to this tank. It's always full, there's always water in it. So as it empties, water is pumped in and it gets refilled. In other words, it's always filled with water. And accordingly, by turning it on at the control panel here, it is over there. Yes, it has its own separate switch. You can turn it on and heat up water for yourself. So you'll have hot water at the kitchen faucet. And if you want to take a shower, as I mentioned before, you can pull the shower head outside. By the way, speaking of water, since we're talking about water now, it's probably relevant to mention that we have the option to install an indoor shower. So here, a stainless steel tray is installed on the floor, a plywood floor is placed on top of it, and on the ceiling there are 4 special hooks where a shower curtain is hung. This way, you can take a shower without even leaving the living module. All the water will drain away. A drain hole is made there, so the water either goes outside or into a holding tank. By the way, the holding tank for grey water is also an optional feature. We have it available in our product range and it can be installed. So for example, if you're in the city and you take a shower or just use water, like washing dishes, you can collect that water in the tank, drain it into the tank, and then later, when you're out in nature, you can empty it there. So that's also an optional feature. That's it. So in the living module, you have the option to use both hot and cold water. Well, there's always cold water, and hot water is an optional feature. That's it. And that's basically everything about the water system. Now we'll move on to the next topic. So the next system we're going to discuss is heating. Here under the bench, the heating system isn't really represented much. So the only thing we have here in terms of heating is the main line running through. Why is that? Because the heater itself is located right here in the kitchen. So here there's a hatch that we open. I kind of lift up floor, let's open it now. And here we can see the heater itself. This is a Planar, 2 kilowatts, a diesel air heater. From it, as you can see, the main line branches off and each one goes its own way. Look, one line goes to the water tank, that is, it goes over there to the tank and blows air onto it. And in fact, the warm air comes out at this point. Why did we do it this way? So let me explain. This way, in winter, your water tank won't freeze. I mean, the contents of the tank. So if you fill it with water, go on a winter trip and it's below zero outside thanks to the heater working and the line blowing air onto the tank. Yes, you can be sure the water in the tank won't freeze. So you won't have to worry about the water freezing, turning into ice and bursting your tank. So the warm air itself will come out right here. This is what we're talking about with this duct, yes. The second duct, let's look at it, know where it is. It runs right through this compartment. Then it goes up along the wall and runs through this channel to the foot of the sleeping area. That's where the warm air actually comes out. So when the heater is running, your sleeping areas get warmed up, that is, you have warm air at your feet. And thanks to this approach, we evenly heat the air inside the room. This means that both at the lowest point and in the most remote, coldest spot, there is always a warm air outlet. So you'll be comfortable here even during the cold season. And as I mentioned, the heater is located here, but it is controlled by a remote, which is situated on the control panel. The remote allows you to change modes. The heater has several modes, by power, by temperature, and there is also a ventilation mode. So basically, we won't go into detail about that right now. The main point is that it is controlled by a remote located on the control panel. As for the fuel, as I mentioned when we were outside, the fuel tank is located in this compartment. So you pour the fuel for the heater in there. The pump is located under the living module underneath the floor, right? And here accordingly is where the actual device itself is located. There are two important points I also want to highlight. One is the presence of these kinds of regulators. Thanks to these regulators, you can redirect the amount of warm air that flows through the ducts. For example, if it gets too hot at the foot of the bed, you can reduce the airflow there. Or for instance here, where the warm air comes out, right? So for example, if you feel uncomfortable standing here, you can either completely shut it off or make it stronger instead. In short, these two regulators will let you adjust the amount of hot air flowing through the ducts. That's the first point. The second point concerns this corrugated pipe here, right? So what is this? We've come to the point that if the planar heater is supplied well, if it takes air only from inside, and here in fact it draws in air, right? So this is, let's say, the planar's air intake, then with this setup, when it takes air from inside and circulates it through itself, condensation forms. That's why we started installing this kind of corrugated pipe into the duct that serves as the planar's air intake and routing it farther away, somewhere under, well, basically, there's an opening on the outside of the body. Not on the body itself, but on the outside of the living module, there's an opening somewhere near the body. So by drawing in fresh air from outside, meaning into the heater itself, it mixes both the cold fresh air from outside and the air that's already inside the living module. Thanks to this, we've pretty much eliminated condensation. We've covered everything about the heating. We've also talked about the water supply. Now let's move on to the electrical system. The electrical system in the living module is made up of the following components. The most important one is the battery. In the standard configuration, we install a gel battery with a capacity of 100 amp hours. If that's not enough for you, and you already know at the ordering stage that you want a larger capacity or a different technology, for example, we can install lithium batteries, then that's possible. We can replace it with any type you need, yes. But overall, based on the energy consumers that are installed in the living module as part of the standard package, plus the feedback we get from customers, we found that in general, 100 amp hours is enough for most people to use the water pump, heating, lighting, and to charge some gadgets, yes. So basically, that's enough for everyday life in the living module. Of course, if you have some additional consumers or you want more autonomy, you can install 150, 200 or even 300 amp hours. So there is room to increase the battery capacity here. Accordingly, the battery is the main component here. How is it charged? The battery can be charged in 3 ways. One, or rather 2 of them, come standard in every camper in the basic configuration. The first is the solar panel located on the roof. It charges the battery through a controller. The second power source is the vehicle's generator. That is, U-Ray device is installed under the hood, which draws energy and also delivers it to the battery. Accordingly, there is also a third option, installing an external 220 volt connection. That is, you can connect from outside. There is a special socket that can be installed for this purpose. If you're at a campsite or anywhere with access to an external power source, you just plug in, and that gives you a third way to charge the battery. So in this way, you can draw energy from 3 different sources. Accordingly, the next component in this particular camper that we're reviewing right now is this specific unit. It is multifunctional. It serves as a solar panel controller and inverter, and at the same time it's the component that allows you to draw power from an external 220 volt source. In other words, it converts the current and delivers it to the battery. So this component is optional, meaning it's not installed in every camper. So if you want to use standard 220 volt appliances like a multi-cooker or even some coffee makers, or if you need to charge laptops that run on 220 volts, for example, basically any household electrical appliances you're used to at home, you can use them if you have an inverter installed. How does the inverter work? It converts 12 volts into 220 volts. That's why we have an outlet right here. And the second one is located where the refrigerator is supposed to be installed. That's where the second outlet is. If you have an inverter installed, it's turned on from the control panel, and by flipping the switch, you'll be able to use 220 volt appliances. And so if you think you don't need 220 volts, then in that case, a different device is installed. Instead, a separate solar panel controller. That means it's smaller, it takes up significantly less space, and it works specifically with the solar panels. About the solar panels, in the basic configuration, we install one 170 watt panel. Basically, as we said, yes, so in tandem with this 100 amp hour battery and the devices we have here, 170 watts is generally enough to fully charge this battery. But if you need it, you can install a second panel or even a third one. Recently, we even installed 7 panels on a living module for one of our clients. So basically, solar panels are also kind of an optional feature. That is, at a minimum, you will definitely have one in the standard configuration. And if you want more, we can add them. So I have talked about the batteries and I have covered this device. Now let's move on to this cluster of wires and some other things, right? And let's take a look at it. Here we have a circuit breaker that can completely cut off power to the living module if necessary. That's it. There's also a panel with all the wires where, well, the wires branch out. For example, many of these wires go to the control panel. In fact, there we have light switches, as I mentioned, the pump on off switch and a toggle switch that controls the water heater. So basically, most of these wires branch out here and go to the control panel. That's it. There's also a fuse block here. Of course, for safety, definitely install a fuse block. That's it. Relays, terminal blocks. So basically, this is the whole system here that relates to the electrical setup. Well, that's probably about it for the electrical part. As I mentioned, in the basic configuration, we won't have an inverter. Instead of it, we'll have here, so this is an inverter combined with a controller for the solar panel. Yes, a multifunctional device. That's it. In the basic configuration, we'll have a smaller device here, also with a tap, also one that will allow you to charge from solar panels. That's probably about it for the electrical part. Maybe I missed something. If you have any more questions, ask them in the comments and we will definitely answer. And a few words about the lighting. Each living module is equipped with a light fixture. This is a general purpose LED light, so when we turn it on, it gives off a cool bright light that basically fills the entire interior space. So in most cases, it's enough many people get by with just this one light. But specifically in this camper, there's also a hatch with lighting installed. When we turn it on, its light is a bit warmer and it directly illuminates the dining table and the area around it. And there's a third light source, a kind of LED strip that runs along the left side, so to speak, and extends down toward the foot of the bed. It gives off a very warm, pleasant light. So in the evening, for example, when you're relaxing and want to turn on the light to read a book or watch a movie, this is exactly what you need. There's even a button here, yes, that turns it on. It's a touch-sensitive button, so it doesn't just turn the light on, it also acts as a dimmer. So when you gently slide your finger across its surface, the brightness changes. You can make it very dim or considerably brighter. But as I mentioned, it gives off a wonderfully warm, truly pleasant evening light, while this other lamp emits a very bright, almost stark white. I also want to say a few words about the hatch. The hatch is a basic feature that comes standard in every camper we make. But it's important to know that hatches can vary. They can look different as well. This particular model, for example, comes with lighting. There's a button here to turn the lights on. The hatch itself has 4 lights that provide a warm, pleasant and soft glow in the evening, since they're located right above the dining table. But you should always check the current situation with hatches at the time of ordering what hatches are in stock and which models are available. But in general, regardless of the model of the hatch, all modern automotive hatches, these camper hatches for motorhomes, are equipped with a mosquito net that slides easily and protects you from insects. They also come with a sunshade that helps you sleep longer in the morning. And there are several opening modes as well. For example, there's a mode where the hatch lifts all the way up and you have an open sky above you. There's also an option to lower it and leave a small gap. This is the ventilation mode. That way you get fresh air, but water like rain won't get inside. Let me explain how the ventilation is arranged in the living module. There's an thermometer installed under the dining table. This is a device that allows you to regulate the amount of incoming air. So essentially, this is our air supply. Also, if your camper is equipped with a window specifically, this type of window, it can also serve as an element of supply ventilation. So here we have a ventilation mode, which leaves a small gap. Right now I've set it to ventilation mode. So this window can also essentially serve as a supply air. That's it. And the hatch, in this case, also serves as a ventilation element. Accordingly, it can also be set to ventilation mode, as I mentioned earlier, yes. And accordingly, even if these side windows are closed, you still won't be left without air, right? That is, air will still circulate thanks to the supply vent, the window if you have one, and the hatch. This applies to cold weather, when you don't really want to open these windows wide. So obviously when the weather is warm, you can open these large windows on the tent, and overall there won't be any problems with air. If we are talking about colder weather, then these elements will allow you to avoid suffocating inside. The heater also has a ventilation mode. So here on the control panel, you can set the heater to operate by temperature with the ventilation mode. For example, you set it to 22 degrees and the heater starts working. When it reaches 22 degrees in the room, it turns off and simply starts circulating fresh air from outside inside. So that basically the air keeps moving here and condensation is prevented. So accordingly, when the temperature drops below, for example, 22 degrees, the heater starts up again, heats the room and so on, basically maintaining a comfortable temperature and circulating the air. So thanks to all these elements, we've managed to make our campers quite comfortable, even with the windows on the tent closed. That is, there's still air movement here due to the heater operating in ventilation mode, thanks to the air supply and the hatch on the roof. Well, now let's talk about the most pressing topic: winter use. We know there's a misconception about our campers that they're only meant for summer, that using them in winter is impossible. As soon as the first cold hits, that's it. You forget about the camper, leave it until spring, and only then can you come back to it. But that's actually not the case. That's a big misconception, and now I'll explain why. First of all, let's start with probably the most controversial topic for many people, textile walls. Because many people believe that a camper should have rigid walls that don't let the wind through, don't get wet, don't let sound in, and so on. But let's not forget that our concept is all about off-road use. Our campers, thanks to the pop-up roof, are lighter as a result. They are more balanced in terms of weight distribution and center of gravity, and they don't catch the wind as much or sway the vehicle as much when driving off-road. Accordingly, an important point is that our living modules are expedition grade. So if we return to the topic of the wall size, you can't do without them, without textile walls, because the roof is pop-up. Ours are not just made from a single layer of fabric that would get soaked at the first rain or let the wind through at the first breeze. It's actually quite a technological solution consisting of 3 layers. On the outside, or rather, the outer layer is Oxford fabric. The inner layer is also Oxford fabric. And between them, there is an insulating layer synthepone. All 3 materials are synthetic, meaning they are not susceptible to mold, mildew, or other similar issues. They do not let moisture through. Synthepone itself does not absorb moisture, even if, for example, you are standing somewhere in a damp climate, it does not absorb moisture. In other words, it does not lose its properties under any conditions. Accordingly, Oxford fabric has a special coating that does not let moisture through and also blocks air and wind as well. So if you're worried that water will run down the walls, everything will get soaked, and you'll end up in a puddle, absolutely no. Oxford fabric, you can, well, even it's not some secret technology, you know. Oxford fabric is actually a pretty popular choice for various covering materials, for tents, and for sports equipment. Sportswear is made from Oxford fabric. So you can, well, even if you just have something made from Oxford fabric, you already know the properties of this material that is completely waterproof. So it's not some kind of special development of ours or something mysterious, you know. But this is actually a widely known global solution for things like sports equipment. For materials for products that require mechanical durability, that is, resistance to mechanical impact. So accordingly, if we're talking about this tent here, the one we have around the perimeter, it doesn't let the wind through and it's waterproof. So basically we've covered this topic. As for heat loss, yes, of course, it does exist. Heat loss can occur and there's no way around it. But look, actually, even any apartment, any windows in a house, so for example, you have windows in your apartment, there can also be some heat loss there. But in winter, you don't use your apartment without heat. So the same concept applies here. That is, our clients and we ourselves, in fact, when we use campers in winter, we turn on the heater the day before the trip, set a comfortable temperature of 22 degrees, and the heater starts working. So on the day of departure, it's already warm inside. You can actually be here comfortably without clothes on. You have a warm space in the pickup truck's cabin. And so you go on a trip for a week or two, your heater works just like it does in an apartment. So the heater here, winter use is possible precisely because of the heater. That is, even with some losses through the material, yes, heat due to the constant operation of the heater, you will be warm and comfortable here. We already have stories from our clients who used campers at minus 30, minus 35 to 40 degrees. It is possible. This is absolutely not a fairy tale. It is possible. And be sure to watch our episodes, subscribe to our channel, and check out the episodes with the stories from our clients. We will have several episodes about people who used campers during the winter season. You will hear firsthand how this is possible and how it all actually happens in real life. So regarding the heating system further, as I mentioned, we have a heater here that runs on either diesel or gasoline. Well, actually, that's up to the client's preference. Usually we use the same type of fuel as the vehicle, so you don't have to carry 2 different types of fuel with you. Accordingly, ours is installed under the kitchen unit. It is turned on using the control panel right here by the kitchen, as I showed you. Warm air comes out here, meaning the air rises from this spot and goes upward. And the second warm air outlet is at the foot of the sleeping area, as I already showed. This way the entire interior space is heated evenly, and it really is warm in here. Even when it's minus 20 or 30 degrees outside, you can easily stay in here. The temperature here is easily maintained at around 20 to 25 degrees. So you can comfortably heat this place and stay here, even sleep in your underwear without worrying about anything. That's it. You'll also have hot water. Your water won't freeze in the main tank, as I mentioned before. And basically I want to dispel the myth that campers are just some silly, flimsy tents that aren't serious or reliable. No, in fact, we've been producing our campers for about 10 years now. We are constantly working on and improving them. And this issue of winter use is already a well-developed technology that we've essentially mastered. Our first campers really weren't as advanced or as well thought out in terms of winter use. Now, this issue is resolved and winter use is absolutely a reality. And be sure to subscribe to our channel. We will be sharing stories from our clients about how they use these in winter. And one more thing I wanted to show you is these windows. So when they're open, and some people don't even know that they can be closed, but they actually can be closed. In other words, winter use is obviously not intended in this case. And really any kind of use, since you'll always have these open spaces here. No, actually there are these, let's call them curtains. They zip up and they do so on all three sides. So we have 3 windows. It's a completely panoramic setup. Here, our windows can be closed. All of them can be closed. I won't close them all right now, but you can close them. This way you prevent cold, for example, from getting inside. So here you end up with basically an insulated wall. And naturally the question arises, what if I want to see what's going on outside, even if the weather is bad, like wind or rain? For example, I don't have this window, I've closed the door, and I'm just in an isolated room. So what do? And we found a solution. Yes, we have special inserts for this. I'll show you now. So you open this curtain. The mosquito net is also secured with a zipper. So you open it. Basically, if the weather allows, say, it's really nice out and there are no insects, you can just open everything up completely and create a draft here. For example, in warm weather, sometimes you just want to air the place out. There are absolutely no problems with ventilation here. So naturally you take a window like this. We have 3 of them. They come included, 1 for each window. And you attach them with these Velcro fasteners. This window has a special skirt at the bottom that lets rainwater run off along the wall of the module, so moisture won't get inside at all. You install the window and it attaches securely with the Velcro. For extra security, you can also cover it with a mosquito net. Just like that. And so this material that I just inserted is basically like PVC mica, and naturally it doesn't let anything through. No moisture, no wind, no air. That's it. And in this way you get a transparent window, you have access to natural light, and you can enjoy the view around you. So you can install these inserts in all 3 windows. And even if, for example, it's windy or raining outside, you can still use the windows. That's it. These things can be rolled up into a tube like this and secured with Velcro. So they stay in place and don't get in your way while you're sitting here. So once you've secured them, the whole window is ready for use in a mid-season or colder climate. So you can live in a module like this without worrying about moisture or wind coming through these windows. Now, let's talk about the materials. Let's start with the exterior walls of the living module. All our products are assembled from sandwich panels. Moreover, we manufacture the sandwich panels ourselves at our own facility. We have a special vacuum table on which we assemble them. We make them from 2 layers of fiberglass reinforced plastic. This material does not corrode, does not rot, and is not affected by moisture. Moreover, it has excellent strength characteristics and is resistant to mechanical impact. So as a base for building expedition equipment, this is exactly what you need. Inside, we have a thick layer of insulation. The finished panel is 33 mm thick. Products assembled from this material have excellent thermal insulation properties. So how do we assemble our products? All our products are assembled using frameless technology. What does that mean? All our products have no frame at all. No metal, plywood, or any other kind of frame. What's the idea here, right? Any kind of frame adds weight to the structure. But our products have self-supporting walls. What does this look like in practice? We assemble our products from sandwich panels using brackets. So here, there's a bracket inside right here and a bracket outside. And all of this is glued together with a special 2-component polyurethane adhesive that's resistant to temperature fluctuation. The stated operating temperature range is from -60 to +90 degrees. This adhesive is also resistant to any vibrations and any mechanical impacts. Another feature of this adhesive is that it has waterproofing properties. So in essence, it also acts as a sealant. In other words, you don't have to worry about anything leaking. Accordingly, this technology also helps to avoid thermal bridges. So as you can see here, there's nothing inside. Here's the corner, right? There's nothing here, there's no metal inside. So this sandwich panel even joins at the corner without any seams, without any metal seams. In this way, we completely eliminate thermal bridges. That's it. You won't have any condensation forming. There won't be any cold seeping in either. That's it. So from the perspective of building expedition vehicles, this is a technology we've really perfected. We've been manufacturing our products using this method for over 10 years now. It has never let us down, nor our clients. So we've only ever received positive feedback specifically regarding the manufacturing technology. And it's important to note that the frameless technology, that is the self-supporting wall construction, allows us to achieve minimal final product weight, which is very important for off-road use. Our vehicles are positioned as expedition vehicles, meaning they're designed to let you get farther away from civilization and enjoy nature. And accordingly, the lighter the product, the farther you'll be able to go. And it's precisely thanks to this frameless technology that our products have minimal weight, put minimal load on the vehicle suspension, and preserve its off-road capabilities to the maximum. This is a very important point that I want to emphasize. Now, a few words about the materials that make up the interior. We're talking about the upholstery of the soft furniture, the countertop surfaces, the flooring, and even the color of the tent, both outside and inside, including the tent for the pop-up roof. All of this can be chosen during the production stage. So when you come to us to place an order, our managers will provide you with a color palette. There will be swatches, catalogs, and you'll be able to mix and match different shades and materials to create an interior that suits you. It's a really fascinating and enjoyable process that our clients truly love. So when you place an order, you choose the color of your cushions, the color of your canopy, and what kind of texture will be used for the tabletops. It's a pleasant and engaging process. Many clients really enjoy this, and as a result, you'll be able to create an interior solution that meets your needs, your personal tastes, and essentially becomes a unique feature of your own camper. And since we're talking about interiors and upholstery, I want to tell you about and show you a very interesting detail. Not everyone knows this, but the covers on our upholstered furniture are removable. There's a zipper here, and by unzipping it, you can take out the inner filling, which is foam rubberand, then take the cover itself to be washed. This is a huge advantage that many people aren't aware of, and it's especially relevant for travel vehicles. So after any trip, you can remove all the cover 7. These ones which also come off and have zippers, take them home or to the dry cleaners, wash them, and in this way keep your camper clean. It's also important to talk about the properties of the materials we use in the interior. When it comes to the countertop surface, we use HPL plastic for that. This is a material that is widely used in the furniture industry, which is resistant to both high temperatures and mechanical impacts. So if you accidentally put a hot frying pan or pot on it during use, or if you accidentally hit it with a knife or something else, you don't have to worry, the countertop will be just fine. This material is very strong, reliable, and is widely used for making home countertops, for finishing kitchen facades, and in general, as I mentioned, it is a very common material in the furniture industry. For the flooring, we use quartz vinyl. This material is also wear resistant and not afraid of moisture. That is, for example, unlike linoleum, it won't get flattened over time. If we compare it to laminate, it won't creak, crunch, or have swollen seams over time. So quartz vinyl is a very good, reliable and durable material. Moreover, we install it with glue, so it is very securely fixed and not afraid of moisture, so you don't have to worry. This is exactly what you need for expedition vehicles. Speaking of materials, we can't help but talk about how and from what we make our furniture. The core of the construction is plywood, but not ordinary plywood. It is coated with a special solution that prevents the harmful effects of moisture. So this material will not swell, warp or rot. All these issues are eliminated here, so you don't have to worry about that. All the surfaces facing the travelers are covered with a pleasant white laminate. Moreover, the laminate material is quite durable and easy to clean, meaning it can be washed and wiped down effortlessly, making it a very practical material. As for the thickness, the plywood used in the core of the construction is 6 mm thick. For example, the main tube is assembled from 6 mm plywood, while the drawers are made from 9mm plywood. But why did we choose 6mm plywood? Because we spent a long time balancing between the strength and the lightness of the structure. Let me remind you, this is a camper, which means it's designed for expedition use, off-road conditions, and keeping the weight to a minimum is our top priority. Accordingly, we settled on 6mm material, which is it's a balance, as I said, between lightness and, once again, rigidity. The furniture itself is assembled using a frameless technology similar to the living module. So inside the furniture, there isn't any kind of framework holding it all together. In other words, the furniture supports itself. It's a self-supporting structure. How is all of this made? Along the edge of the plywood, we make a groove with a router and then assemble it using this aluminum profile. So it's not just some kind of trim that covers the furniture nicely from the outside. It's actually a load-bearing structure that secures and essentially wraps around the furniture panel, holding it in place. Moreover, this technology, these profiles here, are a unique development. There is a company that manufactures this material, this profile, specifically for our company according to our blueprints. Accordingly, this approach allows us to create furniture that is very lightweight, very reliable, and in essence, the furniture itself becomes a very important structural element here. That is, it further reinforces the module structure while maintaining minimal weight. As I mentioned, since our equipment is for expeditions, it's very important to keep the weight to a minimum, and here we meet all the standards that we set for ourselves. So the furniture is very reliable and very lightweight. It's also important to note that there are secure locks here which completely prevent any opening during rocking or shaking. There are heavy-duty drawer slides here which allow the drawer to be loaded. So in terms of the furniture's reliability, you really shouldn't have any concerns. This is true expedition furniture. It's not just some cabinet we dragged from home and set up, or something we simply ordered from a regular furniture manufacturer. But this is furniture that has been specifically designed for off-road use, built to withstand any challenge. Well done, friends. This was the most detailed review possible of One DC series camper. I tried to cover every little detail, looked into every drawer and compartment, and talked about the materials and technologies used. If you still have any questions, be sure to write them in the comments, we'll answer them. I'd like to mention that in the near future, we'll be releasing reviews of other campers, such as the Compact Modella, a new lightweight and compact camper from our production lineage. So make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss these episodes. Finally, if you dream of having your own camper, contact us. We've manufactured motorhomes, campers, and travel equipment for a decade. We have extensive experience in this field, our own full-cycle production, and a team of competent specialists who are eager to help you make your dream a reality. That's all for today. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you next time.